This video begins where this video ends. So what I mean by that is in let's just go look at our channel. So all these tutorials are in playlists at 13th Street Games. So there's an at and it's spelled out, and that's on YouTube. And if we look at our playlists, we have one for Mudbox. And the playlist of Mudbox, the last one is Send to Maya from Mudbox. And that gets us to, at the very end here, our character's head in Maya. And so that's where that ends and this begins. Just want you to not get lost because this will be in a new playlist called Maya Tutorials. If you haven't got this far, you can go back and look at that one. Okay, so when I import this character into Maya or send from Mudbox, I can see that its gizmo is at 000 in this world, 000, and that means that the head is embedded in the ground plane. But we want the character to be standing on this ground plane, which means we need to raise this up, and we don't know how high to do that. So let's create a little guide for ourselves. We'll create a cube. It's there, it's in the center of the head, but it's very, very small. Here's the polygon cube. And I can change its scale over here in the channels box. If you don't see the channels box, now I've got a little, it's handy, this little red circle around my mouse, but when I come over to the side, it pops. So it's because I have other screens turned on, and it kind of gets confused there. So just beware that I'm pointing here with the mouse, and that is where I can see the channel box. So with the cube selected in the channel box, I can find the Y scale, which is its height, and make it 800 centimeters, which is a little bit less than 6 feet. 6 feet is a cliche, kids, said the short man. And then I'll just for the sake of argument, I'll make this 300 wide and 300 deep. And so now I have a cube. Oh, I've turned on the pen. It says press escape to enter pen mode. There we go. So that's part of this, my ability to have this little circle and to show my keystrokes. For instance, with this selected, the keystroke spacebar will choose whatever window I'm hovering over as my main view. Here I'm back in the what we call the perspective view, and I want to raise this cube so that it's standing on the floor plane. And the best way might be to be in not in perspective but in orthographic view. Either one will do. Here's the right side orthographic view. It says right, and you can see the grid here shows a slightly darker axis top to bottom, and right here that's the ground plane. If you're not seeing the grid, this is the grid button. So I'm just going to raise this until the box is sitting directly on that ground plane. Pretty good. And oops, undo. And then here's the head, and I can click on it right now. But if I pull it up inside that box, it's like quite difficult to see. I can't see it or grab hold of it. I can only get hold of the box. So let's also, I'm going to go into orthographic view, into perspective view, and hit the X-ray button. That's these two boxes that overlap here, two squares. Now I can see through things, and still hard to get that head. It's always possible to get it over here in the outliner. If you don't see the outliner, it's under Windows outliner. So I can select the basic head, pull this up like that, and let's go into a orthographic view. I need to do this again and get the X-ray view. But now I don't know what that was. Now I can see the head, and I'll just pull it up close. I need to leave some room for the helmet, so I'll just put it down here. So this guy will be a little bit less than 6 feet tall, and space bar will allow me to go into these different views and click my X-ray button in these different views. So now I've got I use the cube to give me a guide for how tall this character should be, how high to raise the head. But if I start making the modeling the body, maybe the arms are going to be too long, or the legs too short, or maybe they'll be all kind of like not human proportions. So I'm going to use image guides, and it's a little bit complicated, but it's a good time to save this and import some images to use as guides. I'll do it first in the front view. How's that? I'll do it in the side view first. Okay, this is the right view. Here is the button. It's the image plane. It's a white plane with a blue plane kind of rising from it. And if I click it, it asks me for an image, and then I have to navigate to that. And I should have put them inside this project, but I thought I was being clever by putting them in my course folder. You can see it's very small down there, but I'm not going to start scaling it or anything because I want to scale both of these image planes together. So this one is the one I'll use when I'm sculpting when I'm modeling the side view of the character, and this one I'll create one for the front view. So the idea here is that I'm using a character sheet or a character rotation sheet, and it is going to be mine's going to be a spacesuit, and there's my image plane, so it's going to be bigger and more bulky than a body would be, less detailed than a body would be. I'm calling this aviator armor because the armor is like space armor, a spacesuit armor, mecha, that kind of stuff. It's going to be more mechanical and less human, less organic, and that'll be easier to model. So now I want to select both of these. I can get into now. Let's stay here. I want to select both of these so that I scale them at the same time, the same rate, and then W to move it and scale it some more. There are other ways to do this which are probably smarter. I don't want to do that. I want to scale, not move it. There are other ways to do this which are probably smarter, but this is how I'm doing it. So I want the feet to line up at the bottom, exactly on that floor. And the head to fit inside the box, and that looks perfect. And then I want to arrange this so that you can see that there's a kind of slightly darker axis here, that's the ground plane, and a slightly darker axis down the bottom, and that should go right through the top of the head and through the shoulder and kind of graze the kneecap, and that looks pretty good from the side view. Here's the I'll go into my front view. Now I don't want to see the side view on my front view. I'm in the front view. So on this front view, I only want to move one plane. And I'll put this view, this character's front view in there. Okay, and that looks pretty good. So these are going to be my guides. But if I go into my perspective view, you can see that they're kind of in my way. You know what I mean? I can't really see what I'm doing here. With them there. So I'm going to take advantage of the fact that orthographic perspective won't alter with distance. In other words, this plane can be much further away and still be this size in this view. What I mean by that is I have this one selected. That is my front view. So I'll look here and yep, there's my front view. I can, we'll just go into perspective view. Grab it by the Z brush, or the Z arrow, and push it back. I can push it way back until it even disappears, but then I have to pull it forward, and I pull it forward a little bit, you know what I mean? Keep it in the, so it's not going to disappear on me. And this one I can, oops, that's the cube. This one I can push to the side. So as long as it's still looking to the left here, until it vanishes, and then pull it back quite a bit so that it's not about to vanish. And that will, although they're smaller now because they're further away in this view, in the orthographic view, you can see still the same size. That's very handy for us. I want to be real sure that I don't accidentally select these like that and move them by, then that's not where it needs to be. Command Z to get that back. So I'm going to do a couple of things to these two image planes. First, I'll group them. I believe that's Control G, but if I forget, I can come up here to Edit and find Group, and sure enough, Control G. So now I have this one group, but I can roll it down still and get these guys. But now the group can be selected, and I could accidentally move it, right? Undo. So I want to put these on a layer that is a reference layer, meaning I can't select it directly. So I've got the group here. I'll come over here to this. Again, my red circle vanishes and goes in the wrong place, but come over here to this in the channel box. The far right, it's hover over it, says create a new layer and assign selected objects. So the selected objects will be assigned to this layer, and I can name it. I'll call it reference underscore layer. That's not an underscore. It doesn't matter really. I could call it just reference, I think. And let's say save. And then this little box here, I click it twice and it says R, and that means it's a reference. So for instance, in this view, I can't accidentally select that. I can select everything else. Well, the head is a little problematic. Again, I can grab it this way, and I can accidentally, if I select it here in the outliner, I could accidentally move it now. But at least it's not like I'm going to be clicking on it and moving it by accident. And again, in the front view, it's orthographic perspective, so things that are further away are still the same size. Oh, I see. I do want to. This has somehow gotten off axis a little bit. So I do want to. I can select them here and see which one highlights, and then I know I've got the right one. There we go. So this bold axis goes right through the top of the head, right through the shoulder. There you go. And grazes the kneecap. And let's just check the other to make sure. Here, the bold axis should go right through the middle of the crotch, so we'll just move this slightly. As long as I'm not selecting both, I've got it fine. So looking good. So now I just make sure I don't select it here and accidentally move it. Can't select it in this view. All right, we're almost done. This video we're just going to set up to do the modeling, and we've got our guides. This cube is still going to be useful to us. We're going to use it as the torso of our character. So the torso is just the part from the shoulders to the hips, to the crotch, to the neck, not including the arms and legs. So I can begin scaling this thing down. It only needs to be about as wide as the hips here, and it can be a good deal shorter. And that looks okay to me, I think, right? Comes right down to the crotch. The width is just about right on the hips. Maybe it's a little wide on the shoulders, but that's okay. And I'm just kind of putting this neck kind of where I think that, I'm splitting the difference between the shoulders and the bottom of this helmet. Let's look at it in side view. So I can just scale the side view now. And I don't really worry about this box here because I will extrude that, or I won't be using exactly that box. I just want to make sure that the chest and the butt fit in this here. Yeah. And I'll go back into into perspective view. And I can also subdivide this box. So I know I want it to be 3 panels wide and 4 panels tall. 3 panels wide because I need a whole face for the neck and a whole face for the crotch. And so with this cube selected, I can, in the channel editor, I can click the polycube here and see the subdivisions width, and I'll make that, what, I'll say 3, yeah. And the subdivision's height, I'll say 4, yeah. And the side, I'll leave like this for a sec. So, we're just about ready to end this tutorial. We're just going to set this up for modeling. Let's go back into our front view. Set this up for modeling. First I want to get vertices. So right click on this cube and choose vertex mode. So object mode is the default. This is vertex mode, and this is a vertex. It is a little dot at the end of where 2 edges join. Notice that when I select this one is also selected. It's because I have symmetry turned on, but you may not. So Control Shift right click. It says shows symmetry, and there's the little check mark. So I'll just pull that back. So as long as the check mark is checked, then I should be able to select a vertex and have the one on the opposite side selected. And that means I can do things like this. Bring these in together so that they match. Oops. Okay, get my vertex view again. Right click. So that they match either side. But I'm going to undo those. I have everything set up. The vertex is mirroring. It's symmetrical. I'm in vertex mode, and now is a good time to go File, Increment, and Save. So I'm at Aviator Armor 001. I'm going to File, hang on, cancel. I don't know what I did there. File, Increment, and Save. Now I'm at Aviator Armor 002. I'm ready to start modeling. This is just because, I've done a lot of work here, and it'd be nice not to have to go do it again. So just in case, I'm doing this increment and save. That's the end of this video. I'll start modeling in the next tutorial.